Remember that feeling when you're on your honeymoon? Not that feeling, but the feeling of just being super in love and happy and just like best friends. Yeah, that's it's not easy to keep that going.
You gotta work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I like the way you work it, bomb diggity. But there is a way to keep that alive and meet one another's emotional needs. Actually, there are several. Why are you sighing? Why are you sighing at me?
So much work.
Mended light? The cliche is to say that people think it's just going to happen organically. I think we're in a different...
It doesn't.
It doesn't, but I also think we're kind of in a different era. I think most people at this point know that relationships take work. At least most people watching this channel understand that relationships take work. What people lack is the how.
Yeah.
How do I meet my partner's emotional needs? What do you think are some obstacles for that sort of thing?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that come into play. I think we all have like the behavior habits, from nature or nurture that we come to our relationship with, right? And so maybe overcoming those habits that aren't the healthiest, right?
Yeah.
Like a challenge for me in my life, and still is, but I've gotten way, way better, is just honestly expressing my needs and what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like in a healthy way. Because
we can all get to a place where we express our needs in an unhealthy way.
Yeah, because it's either like shut down, don't talk about it, or explode, right? Like that's super not healthy. And so I think that's one aspect of it. But then also, like, we love the things we love about our partner, usually because they have such great strengths that are different and opposite of our own. Yeah. Right? And so along with their strengths is also the weaknesses that come along with those strengths.
They're weak where we're strong, so it gets frustrating and annoying because it's like, why can't you just do this way or be this way?
Right.
Or,
So, and you have a saying that is so very true. Like, so often we show love in the way we want to be loved.
Yes.
Without the awareness of how does our partner or our child or our significant other.
Case in point, words of affirmation is huge for me. And so throughout our entire marriage, I've been great at giving Alicia words of affirmation, telling her how wonderful she is, telling her how much I appreciate her, so on and so forth. Issue is, you don't really need that.
No.
I mean, once in a while you appreciate it, but if the core needs aren't being met, then it doesn't really matter, right? And your greatest need is reliability and getting stuff done. Yeah. Whereas if you,
acts of service and physical touch, because usually people have two.
Right. But I would lump acts of service and like reliability in with acts of service, right? And so if I'm saying I love you through words, she's like extreme, not the word extreme, like the band Extreme. More than words. You remember that song?
Mm-hmm. I don't know the next part. What's the next part?
Is all you have to do to make it real.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. But you're like that. Like the word talk is cheap.
Yeah.
Whereas to me, if I'm not hearing the words, it really doesn't matter what else is happening. I don't feel loved. So when it comes to meeting emotional needs, and we've talked a little bit about in our relationship, but with the person that you're with, and this is in romantic relationships, but just really any.
Right. It's true for children. It's true for
friendships,
friends,
family,
parents,
business relationships. Yeah. So I think the first thing is to have the conversations and to have them regularly, especially because you may have them early on and then think, I've got this person figured out. And that was something that was a mistake that I made, is I had a lot of conversations with you while we were dating about who you were and what you were about. Yeah. And then I just kind of settled into this groove of thinking that I had you figured out. And some of the things that you told me while we were dating, like we regressed toward the mean. Like I did them for a while and then like I regressed more towards just what comes naturally to me. Mm-hmm. And then there's also just the fact that people evolve and our emotional needs evolve over time and who we are and what we want from our partner. And being especially in a committed romantic relationship, requires growing and evolving together. Because who you and I were when we were dating is not who you and I were either as a couple or as individuals now.
Right. Well, and I think of that as like, are all of us the exact same person that we were yesterday?
Yeah.
You know, we're not, because it's changed, and then that's just compounded daily. And so it takes that consistent getting to know you effort.
Well, and it goes into our personality. We talk about personality types in one of our online courses. And we won't go deep into detail here, but there are thinkers, healers, closers, and dreamers. And each personality type has different needs. But then what your dominant personality type is can evolve over time or as circumstances. Like, I was not a closer at all. So closer is get things done, right? Not in me at all. I'm much more so that now.
Well, but that hasn't changed your dominant personality type. You've just had to grow as maturity.
Yeah, but I have closer needs now, which isn't an issue for you because you could show up like that all day, every day. Right. But when other people don't, I get annoyed. Whereas 10 years ago, I would have been like, it's fine. We all just do our best. And now I'm like, no, I needed that done. What's your problem?
I think you also need a guideline. Like, we have our personality course that we'd love to have you take. But whether you use that or Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram, like, have some base foundation of this is who I am, this is what I identify, as my needs, how I show up in the world and what's important to me. Because here's the thing in relationships, and I remember becoming acutely aware, I think I had 3 children, and my oldest son is very much like me, so we got along great. But my second child, our first together, our daughter, is basically a mini version of you almost.
Yes.
And I didn't know how to relate to her at all, not even a little. And so like I delved into this world of like understanding personality types and innate needs and stuff like that. And then the awareness of like, okay, there's 5 of us in this household. There's gonna be more someday. How do you balance the needs of 7 drastically different people, all of who are pretty opinionated? And I don't know whether that comes from nature or nurture, but here we are. It's challenging and it was overwhelming. But you don't need to hit that finish line today. Like, it's not going to come in one day, but have some sort of guideline that's a base foundation for how you can communicate your needs, because it can be so abstract that it can be challenging when you're doing it at first.
Well, and people lack self-awareness of exactly who they are and exactly what they want. And I can't tell you how many times I've said in therapy to somebody, what do you want? And someone says, I don't know. And then I say, well, if you don't know, how can your partner know?
Yeah.
They're trying to hit a moving target. And so I think the best place when it comes to meeting your partner's emotional needs and having them meet yours is to start by understanding yourself. Taking an online personality test or just like journaling and thinking and writing it out. Like, who am I? What do I want out of life? What do I want out of a partnership? When this is done, I feel loved and respected. And when this is not done, I don't feel loved and respected, because how can your partner or your friend or your family member meet that need if they don't know what it is, if it's not clearly expressed? Well,
and communicating that as love and respect, it is a great way to explain it, but also what makes me feel seen, what makes me feel heard, and what makes me feel understood. Yeah. Because that's the part that's so often missing. And you talk about in therapy how often you've had people sit in your office and say, I don't know what I want. Because so often we're pulled by cultural norms, expectations from family, right? Yeah. This is who I should be. This is how I should show up. Stop shooting on yourself.
Shooting all over the place.
And so it takes that time and that energy and that effort to discover who you are. So find some sort of guidelines that help you communicate that. Yeah. Love languages is also an amazing tool, which is, so the personalities, the love languages, Fight Less, Connect More. These are all courses that we have as part of what we call relationship foundations, because we feel like these 5 courses make up our foundations of what we need to understand who we are, understand the people in our lives, and connect in a meaningful way.
Well, we created those, like, what would I need to have the foundation of a healthy relationship? And we put them all in those courses, which you can take accompanied by a therapist, clicking on the link below. If you enjoyed this peppy little video, we want to have you check out what to do if your husband's addicted to porn. That's one of our super fun ones.
Or wife.
Or wife.
Don't be sexist.
Thank you. Everyone, porn is for everyone? That's not what I meant. Anyways, but the video is here for you to check out. So check it out because we want to help. Let us help. How do you meet your partner's needs? And how do you get your needs met? What are your emotional needs? Have you identified them? Let us know in the comments below. What would you like us to address in our next Married to a Therapist segment? Let us know in the comments below.
This is how it's done. And remember to keep shining. We need your light.
I don't know, I liked it better as a song.
Check out the video.
It's about porn!